Thanks, Erica and Matt. Thank you so much for being here with us today and flying in from North Carolina, as I understand. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your role at Cisco?
Sure. Thank you for having me. So I've been at Cisco about 15 years and been working with Anaplan for about 7 years. At Cisco, I've had various roles within finance, working with sales finance, working with sales operations, strategy and planning. And we do a ton of forecasting and planning at Cisco. So having a central platform to be able to do that has been a game changer for us.
There's no doubt Cisco's been through a lot of changes over the years. How would you describe the complexity in the go-to-market operations at Cisco?
It's very complex. Cisco is a very large company. We sell to basically every country as long as it's not banned like Russia, but we pretty much sell to every country. We sell to every customer, whether you're military, Department of Defense, whether university, hotel chain, right? You can probably see our there it is right there, right? If we all look up. So like we are in, pretty much every retail segment, coffee shops, wherever, right? So we're very big, a lot of customer types. We also acquire a lot of companies, right? So we acquire about 12 companies a year. That's about every month. That's a lot of acquisition. Sometimes it's, for headcount, sometimes it's patents, customer base. We're very big in terms of our global footprint. How do we go to market? We have over 14,000 sellers, so that's not a small sales team at all. And they cover all the regions, all the segmentation types, whether you're big customer, small, some of which I mentioned earlier. So we have to tailor our go to market strategy, our segmentation to maximize how do we go to market. We don't want to put a bunch of sales reps on a small client, but we also don't want to put, not enough on a growing customer. And so we spend a good amount of time making sure we have the right coverage, the right customers defined properly, and then we set targets for them, and then the sellers go out and sell. So it's a pretty difficult go to market. Every year, market dynamics change with tariffs, with COVID, right, in terms of how we do business. But we've been getting a lot more into the software space over the last 10 years. So that makes up about half of our business. And on top of all these boxes are the software, right? Whether it's led by AI, trying to detect those anomalies, cyber attacks, and trying to prevent them from occurring. So we've grown a lot in the software space as well. We're not just a hardware company, right? That probably most of you think of us as one.
You mentioned acquisitions, and there are a few that come to mind over the past years of thinking App Dynamics, Splunk, Meraki. How has M&A impacted your go-to-market planning at Cisco?
I would say it's made it more challenging. So each of those acquisitions, right, come with their own headcount, come with their own sales planning process. Some of them actually use Anaplan already, so it's made that integration a little bit easier, right? We're still integrating, Splunk and different acquisitions, every year. So having a cloud-based platform like Anaplan, where it's already being used by some of the companies we acquire, definitely helps us to integrate and scale all of the data sources they have, all of their accounting systems, so that we can plan end to end globally, not just for like core Cisco.
Cisco has been on an extended journey with Anaplan, and if we go all the way back to the beginning, and I've got the journey up on the screen for the audience to take a look at. If we were to start at the very beginning, first of all, maybe you could tell us what were you using before Anaplan, and then what did you tackle first?
Yeah, good question. So like most of you, probably before Anaplan, you were using Excel, paper pen, smart sheets, and there was version control issues, or, emailing back and forth. They're using Friday's version, Tuesday's version. You're building a formula. You're building the same formula, an audit check, and there's not standardization. There's fat fingering. There's all kinds of error-prone internal audit failures. So all kinds of things can drive. Uh, kind of what you may have been doing in your company before Anaplan. So that's kind of what we were doing, and we really saw the need for a connected planning platform to help us scale our forecasting, our planning, and generate good consistency, standardization. Is was a big problem before Anaplan. So we definitely a win for us to get onto the Anaplan platform. And then it's since then you can see some of the use cases behind me. So I'm going to hit on a couple. So when we started with a handful of models, and we now have hundreds of models, hundreds of gigabytes worth of data in those models. You heard early in the keynote, right, talking about AI and the data orchestration that they're coming that they're developing. So I would say that if you try to throw 100 gigabytes at Excel, it'll probably crash. Your computer catches on fire. Not good, right? So we have really big models, and so we start with a couple of those use cases, like customer definition, like segmentation, like quota planning, node level goaling. So we have pretty big use cases there, and you can see we've started to expand, as you mentioned earlier, with some of the acquisitions we've done with Thousand Eyes, App Dynamics, Meraki, and Splunk came with an additional use cases. So integrating all those together and going forward, there's definitely a lot of opportunity on the Anaplan platform.
What kind of team do you have assembled at Cisco to work on all of these different models and use cases?
So we have a what some of you might call like a center of excellence. So we have a centralized team that helps take in all the requirements. We have a centralized team that does the development, whether it's a data integration, whether it's model builders, and we're able to get a lot done in a very short period. We have two-week agile sprints, and so every 2 weeks we're out. We're putting out different enhancements. So it's quite a tight timeline, but I would recommend if you don't have a COE setup, I would recommend one. Uh, but it's a good team. We cover hundreds of planners from a lot of regions, so I would definitely recommend a setup where uh, you're able to work closely with the model builders, with the data team, with your end users, and I think it's a good been a good setup at Cisco.
You have a substantial COE in place today, roughly 10 people, if I recall. For those who are thinking about starting up a COE with maybe 2 or 3 people, what are the skill sets that you would focus on first?
Yeah, good question. So obviously, some part of the COE needs to be a little bit of technical, whether you've taken your level one, level two certifications, understanding how data flows, the data formats. Data is key to any type of forecasting modeling. So I would definitely recommend some experience with data. Some of the model building is like Excel, right? Some of the formulas are very close. So if you have any experience with Excel, most of you probably do, then it would be a fairly easy, conversion to start learning Anaplan specific formulas. Obviously, any program management skills, requirements gathering, all of those agile methodologies also would come in handy if you're a small team looking to start or expand your COE.
And which teams did the sponsors come from originally when Cisco decided to start its journey with Anaplan?
Good question. So we have a lot of sales use cases, as you can see. So a lot of our uh, original sponsors, right? So if you're trying to build a business case, maybe your prospective customer, it was really driven by the sales team. We were so you can see those the ones we have there. So it was really driven by sales, but you can't do any kind of planning really without some financial numbers behind it. Whether you're modeling growth of top line, your P&L, whether you're headcount planning, coverage, all of these items, you need the leadership of sales and finance, maybe operations. So it is key to have that alignment between the different functions.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit about how you collaborate with some of the other teams. You mentioned sales operations, sales finance. What does a day in the life look like for you?
So a day in the life is pretty busy. So we're working with end users, we're working with IT, we're working with Anaplan in their roadmaps, some of which you'll hear about this afternoon. And a lot of it is, you gotta listen to your customer, you gotta listen to your end users, see what they want, see how they want to change the product. Uh, you're responsible for this application, you're responsible for its success, the data that's in it, how you model the design of it. So it can be stressful at times, right? If any of you've built applications or Excel workbooks, right? Like, it's very strategic how you put what columns in what order and what type of data. So I would say it's pretty crazy. It can be a lot of meetings some days. So a day in the life can be, every day is a little bit different though. So I'd say that's a fun difference, but it can be challenging.
You mentioned the importance of data. Which data stores are the most important in your existing deployment? And then, what kinds of integration methods are you currently using to bring that data in and out of Anaplan?
So you probably heard a lot about the Anaplan data orchestration (ADO) as a kind of new way to build and bring data in. We don't use ADO today. We use more of the legacy like Anaplan Connect, some of the APIs from places like AWS, GCP, Azure. So a lot of our sales data, headcount data, customer data is coming from those sources, whether it's a Snowflake, an Oracle, SQL Server, any of your normal databases that most of you use. So those feed a lot of our data into Anaplan. Sometimes we refresh data every day. Sometimes it's every week. But we send tons and tons of data to Anaplan, and it's able to handle it, which has been great for us.
Let's talk some more about goaling because it's such an important use case at Cisco. Could you define what goaling is? How many segments, how many sellers, and the complexity with overlays and other parts of the team that factor into it?
Yeah, good question. So the quota planning, no level goaling is a very big model. It's a very complex model. We, like you said, have thousands and thousands of sellers, and we have thousands of customer types. And bringing that all in together, modeling that with hundreds of compensation plans times hundreds of territories, as we sell to almost every country. Whether you break, Germany into 20 territories or 100, right? We have to calculate that quota. How much should that seller sell based on those type of customers in that territory? And I would say it's a complex model. It's a much more of a financial model than it is, defining customers type model or supply chain type model. And we've definitely had some initial challenges in designing kind of what's the best way to display the data to our users, to integrate all of the data. But it's working very well now, and we're able to do what would take months in Excel in a matter of seconds, right? If you want to change the Europe number up 10%, it'll instantly recalculate all of the Germany, the France, the Spain numbers, and you can make those decisions much faster. Um, and I would say it's really helped us in our journey in goaling.
How does segmentation and capacity planning fit into goaling?
Good question. So segmentation is a key piece. Before you can get to goaling, you've got to define your customers, whether you're a large service provider like your T-Mobiles or Verizons, or whether you're a small coffee shop. You have to have the right coverage, the right segmentation. You need to define that first before you even start setting how much should that seller sell, how much should that territory be worth. And so that upfront piece is critical. Otherwise, you're going to have too many sellers on a territory, not enough. You're going to be setting a too big of a quota. The seller is going to get unhappy, right? I worked my butt off, and I'm like, at 50% attainment. So those type of things, it's key to set that quota properly for the account teams, and the goaling application allows us to do that after we've properly defined our customers, our segmentation, uh, and uh, and all of that process is much faster on a platform like Anaplan versus trying to put 10 million cells, 10 million rows in Excel is was quite challenging before.
What are some of the outcomes and key takeaways that you could share from your journey with Anaplan?
Sure. So I kind of hit on this a little bit, right? But I would say the quicker you can get your sales force, right, whether you're planning for one sales team, 100 sales teams, the faster they can get out there selling. We've seen definitely a drive in our revenue for the quarter or the fiscal year, right? So 52 weeks, if they're sitting on their hands for a week or two because they are not selling, because they're trying to figure out, am I selling to Florida, to Texas? If they don't know what they're selling, how much they're selling, what they're selling. Do I sell maybe our security products, maybe our collaboration or our networking, or maybe I sell everything, right? They're going to sit around and wait to make sure I'm going to get paid on this deal, that I'm going to cover this deal to the right territory. So they sit and wait. So if you can get them that quota and the customers that they sell to sooner, you're going to drive more revenue for that year. And more likely the seller's going to be more productive, and that's going to be more profitable for your company if they're out there selling rather than internal discussions because of, you're having issues setting what customers, territories, your goals for them. So I would say, that's definitely the first takeaway. The profitability comes in with speed, right? With scale. Like I mentioned earlier with the Europe example, if I want to increase that by 50 million, 100 million, right? I can do that instantaneously, see what the impacts would be, all the way down to some account manager in Portugal, right? Anaplan allows us to calculate those very quickly, and it's more profitable for Cisco because we're able to drive more of that top line. And I would say the third big item is just the alignment between sales, between finance, sales finance, renewals finance, within sales strategy and planning with the accounts executives, the sales management, right? So being able to align all of those teams so that you have a common go-to-market strategy eliminates a lot of that back and forth that will delay the process. And some of your processes might have to change moving on to a platform, new technology. So I would recommend getting that alignment internally, um, uh, and as you go forward. And Anaplan allows us to do that.
So looking at the future, I'm curious what new use cases is Cisco considering and why?
So we have a few use cases we're exploring. So from a slide ago, right, you saw we're heavy in the sales planning space. We have a few in the finance FP&A space. So there's, I would say probably the first thing is we're looking to enhance, right, those existing planning models to make those better. Every year we have different requirements, pulling in as we do acquisitions, maybe, right, pulling in more mappings, more data. I would say the second is there's some places we haven't even touched, right, at all, right? The supply chain use cases, HR, workforce planning. There's a lot we do in other systems, right, that Anaplan could do for us in a connected end-to-end model. I would also say the third would be some of the Gen AI, some of the AI capabilities. Ask AI to build you a model, right? 10 seconds later, it's built. Recommend me a better formula for Anaplan. Some of the use cases around ADO, where we don't use ADO today, around Polaris. You'll hear more about Polaris this afternoon. And we can put much more data into the calc engine. So we haven't even scratched the surface on, for example, Polaris, ADO, the AI capabilities you heard in the keynote. So I would say that's the third kind of use case, is just enabling uh, uh, the Anaplan capabilities that you're putting out each year. So those would be the three kind of where we see ourselves a year, 2 years, 3 years from now.
Excellent. Matt, thank you so much. Thank you
Annalise,
for joining